Good afternoon on what is a very changeable day. I've been out here in rain showers and now in bright sunshine, and basically it's been blustery as well, but it seems to brightened up quite a lot right now. So in the meantime, it enables me to get on with some more unboxings here in the Nook, accompanied of course by a nice hot cup of tea. So, I've already unboxed this small thing. I have delved into the first of several things in this small packet. The next thing is this large packet. Now, as you can tell, it's already been torn open, and I have taken something out and looked at it. And so, let's see what I can find in here. And the next thing is this, which is Crestfallen Bronze Age role-playing. Now, all of these books, I should say, have come from the library of the Tweed Meister himself, the designer of Liminal, and also co-designer of Open Quest 3rd Edition, all of which I've done unboxings here in the Nook. So the other thing is that it was his birthday just a couple of days ago, so happy birthday, Tweed Meister from the future. Basically will be the future by the time you get to see this video. So all of these books have come from his library. He basically is getting rid of some books, and there's some interesting titles that I wanted to look at, and one of these was Crestfallen Bronze Age role-playing. Now, Bronze Age role-playing is basically the Bronze Age period is been explored most notably in role-playing in RuneQuest and its iterations, most recently in RuneQuest role-playing in Garantha from Chaosium, and then in another role-playing game called Jackals, which is set in a sort of like a fantasy version of the Middle East, the other area known as Levant, and that's from Osprey Games. But this is Crestfallen. It's powered by Fate and contains everything you need to play. You see the publisher. Just trying to look who the publisher is. It's by Dan Hiscutt, so presumably you had to get hold of this online. Again, uses Fate, so it's going to be fairly nice and accessible. And what it will do is fairly kind of heroic role playing. Because Fate basically lends itself to kind of cinematic style of play. I mean, that can be dialed up and down with the tone of the game as you wish, but if you want to do sort of like, you know, it's the great thing about Fate is that the power scale is really easy to handle. So let's have a look. A fantasy role-playing game powered by Fate. This book contains everything you need. Earth Mother creates the band, exiling a child from the universe, although she misses one in her haste. So you essentially have a spider goddess with creation in her grip, and I don't know anything more than that because it doesn't say very much on the back cover. So it's not telling me very much about this game at all. Welcome to Crestfallen. In ancient times, life was hard. It was scary, short, brutal. Living through winter, whatever your circumstances, wasn't certain. In such hardships, tribes turned to the terror of the supernatural and divine, not through desire, but through necessity. Weather, failed harvest, disease, and wild animals were deadly, as destructive as any neighbouring tribe bent on war. Banding together for protection, and you looked for aid from the gods. At its core, Crestfallen is a game of survival. The natural world is your foe. To thrive, you must embrace the yearly cycles and remain alert for trouble. Unlike our own world, mortals have yet to conquer nature to separate themselves from their own food production. The land is primitive and unpredictable. In Crestfallen, you play a great hero. You are fated by the gods to rise above the rabble to make an impact. Your deeds will be immortalised in song, inspiring some and enraging others. You will change the world. So essentially we have a map of the world, and then we go into the beginning, which explains the background, and the layout. It's fairly okay. It's fairly plain, but I've just turned over, and nice bit of artwork. Basically, goat-headed being, or talking to a one-eyed woman, Soul Cyclops. I'm going to go basically full background, and we'll get into the bit more detail. It's disappointing that it's not in colour. That map really is a little difficult to read, I would suggest, if you don't really any detail. We have it's about character creation and aspects, and how you choose your aspects, because the aspects are elements of your character and background which you bring into play to undertake tasks. And we have they can be shared, so you've got basically group aspects and so on there. We're talking about character roles, so ritualist, politician, seducer, vagabond, the death dealer, the wanderer, the artisan, the scholar, the quester, the protector, and so on. So you have different roles discussed there, and of course fate is going to support those very much. And we have a list of skills, and there's not a great number of skills. You don't really need that many in fate. Explains the rules. If you've never seen a fate game, essentially that gives you some idea of what you're rolling. You're rolling dice with plus and minus symbols on them, and the aim is to roll more plus than the minuses, and add that to your the value of your skills, you basically then you succeed. And we're dealing with aspects as well, with advice, and how basically the interesting thing is that aspects. So, for example, it might be the good example here. Politics is my favourite game, and a player can invoke that by using a fate point to gain a +2 bonus. But at the same time, it can be compelled. So what that happens is the Fate Master or the GM offers the player a fate point in return and says, you have to bring in this aspect into your play right now, and in return you will get this fate point. And fate points are also useful because you will it will give you an advantage over the enemy or another player character. But when compelled like that, player doesn't have to take them. But if they do it, they have to play to that aspect. So if it's politics, is my favourite game, it might well be that the character was trying to avoid getting into an argument, but in this case has the role player getting into the argument. And that's great role playing, because essentially what it means is the aspect works as both an advantage and a disadvantage, but at the same time, when it works as a disadvantage, the player gains a benefit, and you gain great storytelling and role playing. So yeah, you've got the complete description of background and everything in there, and how the rules work, how the skills work, and examples of skill use. So, I mean, the thing is, the original owner of this, the Tweed Maestro, has written his own role-playing game using Fate, Hunters of Alexandria, and then Age of Arthur, which is an Arthurian role-playing game set in the post-Roman world, and it's a bit grittier and grimmer than most Arthurian role-playing games you will see. So I actually think it's one of the better ones as well. It's not as good as say Pendragon, because nothing is ever going to be as good as Pendragon, and it's not as good as Prince Valiant either. Both are great, but it's really a good third, and that's no criticism of it. It just means that the other two are really fantastic. They are basically the pinnacle of the Arthurian legend when it comes to role-playing. And then we come on to essentially playing the game. So you've got conflicts and contests and setting consequences if you fail, and we've got an example of a full conflict of their contest, and that's great because examples in a game do two things. They show you how the rules work. Three things. They show you how the rules work. They show you what the designers intended when they created the game. And three, they should ideally illustrate the game and something in it. Again, get a nice bit of artwork. Woman's set up by mice. Not quite standing on a table in 60s sitcom style. But then again, this is Crestfallen Bronze Age role playing. What would she know about? She would know nothing of this mice on woman on table, mice surrounded by mice situation. And then we get to basically that background about the region. So what else we got in here? So it covers the people, and gives it the present day, covers the basically general area, horse clans and so on, and then it looks at the yearly cycle in fairly detail. So essentially we've got the time of brightness, summer, July, other lands, the darkest depth, winter, January, horse time, summer, August, other lands, time of ice. So essentially we've got two real kind of opposite worlds there. Claim time, autumn, September, other lands, time of wind, spring, March, and so on. And it's looking at the summers, basically the different seasons and how they impact upon the effect of the campaign. So everything there to really help with basically give some broad, essentially campaign structure. Then we go on to civilization. We covered also diseases, law, architecture, the Cyclops brewing, walrus people, example communities. So you've got a city-state, a mercenary army, a horse clan tribe, all satted up, which you can bring into play, whether as an opposing force or or something the player characters create and build themselves, and including building basically house building. And I mean that you would think that that's a community project. You don't go around and go, I'm going to hire someone to do it. You work together to create it, and so that brings you into the community and makes you part of it. Ships and sailing as well. That takes you out into distant lands, other lands and magic. What else have we got in here? So things like changing the weather and healing are all covered by the magic section, shape-shifting, mind speech and so on. Then we deal with the people of the Bronze period and so on, all the way through. So people of that's people of Bronze, people of Rivenon, which basically proves that is the main playing area. Those are basically stats and so on. You've got basically a bestiary, as it were. And appendices, you've got example characters, such as Erica, leader of the Frost Eaters, Ikala, priestess and alchemist, and so on. So you basically really get playing fairly quickly if you wanted to, and they come with complete character sheets. And then quick summary of place of character creation, invoking aspects and so on. So nice bit of quick reference at the back there, always useful. And then an index. So the only thing it hasn't got in there is a scenario, which I always like to have a scenario in the core book. So that's Crestfallen, Bronze Age role-playing by Dan Hiscutt. I'll get around to reviewing that at some point. I've already reviewed, reviewed Request Role-Playing Glorantha, and I reviewed Jackals from Osprey Games, so this will be an interesting trilogy of Bronze Age set games. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching another unboxing in the Nook. If you have enjoyed this, please do click the like button down below, and if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those, and I do take the time to read them myself. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, then please where you will be alerted to essentially me out here with a parcel and a book or game which I can talk about for the best of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all accompanied of course by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please hit that subscribe button. Once again, thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook, and I'll be back again in the near future with another video. Bye for now.